I am, yes, who am I? What who am I means, and I am who you want me to be. If you listen to me now and my voice reminds you of your mother-in-law and you don't like her, you will possibly immediately have something in your head that says, I don't like that lady. But it has nothing to do with me. It has just something to do that happens in your brain and in your memory, which triggers the mother-in-law you don't like, her voice, and immediately you put that assumption onto me. The same could happen with my accent. I'm obviously from Germany. If I walk in a certain way, or if I'm a little bit too dominant, you might not like that. And it's something I explained to you how this happens, and I just would like you to be completely open and listen to the message that's coming through, rather than looking at me and judging me for who I possibly am. I have prepared an outline for this topic, however, I kind of like to go with the flow. I want to make this as interactive as possible, because I am a kinesthetic learner and I always learn best if I participate. So I wouldn't want now to talk for 50 minutes, which I easily can, and it's very warm in here and tiring, and I don't want you to fall asleep. I would like you to participate as much as you can. Are we all good? Yeah. Well, the exit, as you know, if you need to go out in between or come back or drink or something, that's absolutely fine. And ask questions while they come up. Don't wait until the very end. If the answer is coming up in the presentation, I will just say, hold on, it's coming, but otherwise it should be an open discussion kind of workshop. Right, why did I come up with this topic? I used to think, this is my business, and there is my spirituality. And what I mean with spirituality is basically going for a walk in nature, being really connected when I go swimming, doing a meditation, going and doing yoga sessions, going for workshops or to festivals like these. That's all for me, nurturing my spirituality or my soul side. My business is on the other side. And it has a lot to do with logic and left brain thinking and perceptions, how I learned how business works. And the longer that went on, the more often I realized that I totally enjoyed being on these festivals, doing these workshops, doing meditations, going for a walk in nature. And when I go back to my business and sit in my office and do the task of tax or sales or marketing, I didn't feel so inspired and uplifted. And I thought at some point, how can I bring more of this into this, or vice versa? How can I combine the two? And before I explain to you how I got there, I would like to explain a model to you that really triggered in me to understand why we are doing things the way we do, and how we learn things, and how we understand how our life around us works, and why I had those ideas that business has to be in a certain way there, and my spirituality has to be like here. And it has all to do with our conscious and subconscious mind. So what I would like you to get out of this today is to get an understanding how this concept works, to have a really interactive workshop with you, so we can do this as practical, so you can take something home from this. And I would like you to feel more energized after we finish this workshop than you feel right now. When I ask you...
Sorry.
Yes.
I need to use your way coming from. What was conscious again?
Conscious?
In German.
Bewusstsein. Bewusstsein.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
You're welcome. So, when I ask you, and some of you have been at my workshops and know the answer, some don't. When I ask you, what do you think your mind looks like? Immediately, what picture comes up in your head? The brain. The body.
And the brain.
Anything else?
I have a vision of a rabbit when you ask that question.
What?
A rabbit.
A rabbit? Cool.
My intuition.
Your intuition?
Intuition.
When I say mind, you get the image intuition?
Yeah.
Something out there? Something big?
Yes, in me and
Out there. The mind is actually nothing physical. The mind is something you experience. And when we say a new concept, which for some of us is the mind, our brain immediately tries to find a picture, because your brain learns in images and pictures. If you have never seen the mind, and you can't see the mind because it's an activity, it's not something physical, very often we come up with pictures like the brain, or rabbit, or something completely else. And I would like to show you now an image which is only there to help your brain recognize a concept in an image, and then you won't be so confused when we dive into it. So a Dr. Thurman in 1932 looked at this topic and developed this image, which helps us to understand what our mind is. This is not our head. This represents the body, but this is not our head. This is what he calls the mind. And he divides the mind in the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Your conscious mind to your subconscious mind, if you want another image, if you look at a computer, this to this, if you look at data in your computer, is 1 to 1 billion. The subconscious mind holds tremendous amounts of information, stores what you perceive the world to be, and everything in here is influencing your life and how you see life. When we are born up to the age of 5, 6, we are perceiving the world with our 5 senses, which are
visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory and gustatory.
we can also name them simpler. Our eyes, we see, we smell, we touch, we hear. Yes.
When we're young, from our birth.
Yes.
Okay, I thought it's the other way usually at the moment, that children see with more senses than and then we unlearn it in the future.
They do that too. I am explaining just the mind and the conscious mind and subconscious mind.
Okay,
We get
okay.
from here to intuition.
Okay.
Conscious mind has nothing to do with intuition.
Okay.
So as children, we are open, totally open. And everything that comes to us comes through those filters, which are our 5 senses. And it creates an image of what life is all about and what we in this life represent. Up to the age of 5, all the information you get from here directly filters through into your subconscious mind, and here it creates a self-image. As an example, if you live in an environment with, like I used to, I was brought up in a really violent environment. I, as a child, had no idea that this is not normal, or shouldn't be normal. I thought this is how the world is. So I picked up a lot of violence through physical, emotional, touching senses, and created a self-image in my subconscious mind that represented life is violent. I did not question that, because as a child you can't. The information goes straight away through. It's like this is a sponge and you take everything in as it is. After you turn 5, 6, 7, all of a sudden you develop abilities to have a filter coming through. When new information comes through, you all of a sudden can say, this is not true, or I like this, or I don't like this, but before you can't. This intensifies a lot when you are a teenager, and every parent around here should encourage their teenagers to question everything, and because even if they get a bit annoying at that age, because that's very healthy. So let's now say we have developed a belief. You went to school for the first time, or your parents said something like, you will never be good in math, and you have accepted that. Not consciously. Remember, at the beginning it all happens automatically. This belief, I am not good in math, sits in your subconscious mind. And here comes now the interesting part. We have a system in our body that will create circumstances and opportunities and situations that prove to you what you hold to be true, this is your truth, in here comes true. So you will create situations that prove to you, yes, you're right, you are not good at math. But it is an automatic process. It has nothing to do with you not being good. There's no reason you can't be good at math. A lot of us at school learned we are not good in art or math or music because somehow we picked up we can't do this. I come from a system that teaches a lot just mathematics and linguistics. I always thought I'm not a creative person, I can't do art, I can't do dance, I can't do music. Only because I learned in my school system that the only thing that was important was the other part, and when we had music lessons it was more like a punishment or we were pulled by the ears if we didn't sing correctly. So everything I learned about music and art was rather negative, but it went in here and I believed I can't do this. The crux point is to really get, if you are not happy with anything in your life, whether it is your relationships, whether it is your relationship with money, whether it is your health, or anything like that, and with not being happy, I'm meaning that you are not feeling totally, fully alive with this, then that means you hold a belief in here that stops you from experiencing what you would like to experience. But it has nothing to do with your abilities. It's amazing what abilities you actually have, all of us. Nobody is better, more intelligent, or whatever than others. The only difference between us is A, how we are brought up. If you would have had parents who told you from the beginning, you are awesome, you are amazing, you can do anything you want in life, and you pick that up all the time, you have it now in your subconscious mind, you will then create situations and opportunities that prove to you you are right. Wouldn't that be amazing? I learned this after I had children, and I wish I would have learned this a little bit earlier. So now we could, or a little funny thing I would like to explain to you is, I was introduced to this after I was divorced. And for the first time I realized everything that happens to me is not happening to me from the outside. I am creating this, even though not consciously. I mean, who would want to do something consciously that's not very beneficial? But in my self-image, for example, I learned I'm not attractive. I am not a nice or attractive woman. I don't have any femininity. So what I attracted is a husband that cheated on me all the time. And all of a sudden I thought, that's why. He would have loved to be in that workshop because he would have had a nice excuse why he did this. But for me the more important part was I stopped the blaming. I stopped blaming him for doing it. I understood I didn't feel good about myself, and that's why I attracted this. Not consciously, just subconsciously. Do we all kind of grasp that concept? Because that was one of the big wake-up calls I had. So out of this, this is also how you learn, for example, how to do business or how to do your life, or understanding business is there, spirituality is there. Where I come from, my upbringing, there was no spirituality whatsoever. It was called wacky, and only witches do that kind of stuff. So I certainly wasn't open. Church was condemned altogether. I had no ability to express my spirituality whatsoever. I only thought and learned working hard is the way to go. So I worked really hard. And at some point I realized I wasn't quite happy with that and felt not fulfilled and felt there's something missing. And that's where my whole journey into personal development, spirituality, whatever you want to call this, has started. So when you see this now, what would be your biggest question? Understanding that you created those beliefs that are in here in your early childhood. And you can even have had parents who were, as mine, not so supportive and still create completely different self-images. I'm not saying everybody who had bad parents turned out to believe they're not good enough. It's about you, what you pick up. And if you are a really sensitive child, you pick up a lot more than one who can just say, oh, you know, I don't listen to this. So I'm not saying that we need to blame the parents now, because our parents went through the same stuff. And they only knew at the time what they knew best. And they also picked up their self-image from their parents or their grandparents. Or a lot of the time from your environment, like Germany, for example, has a lot more tradition and quite a different approach to life than New Zealand has. So I pick up all that information too. But if you now understand, okay, this is my self-image, I created this if I was really little, not consciously, and by the way, a lot of us don't even know what beliefs we are holding here. We don't know. The only reason that we become unhappy with this is that our results in life are not matching what we really would like to see to happen. Which question would now come up for you?
How do we change the belief?
Very good. My first question was actually, can I actually change it? Is it even possible? Because this all happened on a subconscious level, can I change it? Can I now, with the knowledge which I have, which happens up here, we are now, when we are communicating and talking, in our conscious minds and dealing with logic. This is all subconscious. That's where intuition comes in as well. So, good question. Can we change this?
Do you need to know, do you need to have identified what that belief is before you change it?
No. The only thing you know is that I'm not quite happy with my life at the moment. And it doesn't have to be like I live a disastrous life. There's something that's not quite flowing, or that's not quite in alignment with who I think I really am or have become. For the majority of us, it shows in relationships, in finances. What's the third big one? I mean, they are the two biggest ones. When we have workshops, these are the two topics almost everybody is working on. How can we change this? This is not the topic of today's talk, but we can do a little exercise on how to go there. We can change our subconscious belief systems, and there are many tools. And I can see already a few practitioners here who can deal with that. Mitch, for example, does self-hypnosis. Emma does Psych-K. She can change belief systems with the help of kinesiology. Patricia, who I just did a workshop with, has amazing techniques on how to change that too. There's probably more people sitting here who know already some tools and techniques how we change them. I have a tool which I call two-pointing, where we can bring up all the stuff that's in there, so it is put right in front of our faces, and then we can transform it and change it. But that was not the topic of today's session. I can give you my link to my website later on, and you can see my complete workshop where you learn how to do this. I would now like to go from here into, so what does that mean now for me when I talk about business and spirituality? I have to do this carefully. I would like 2 volunteers who would like to do some, or one at a time, some writing, because my writing is, my writing is fantastic, you might not be able to read it. I'm very careful choosing my language. The language is a big key on creating the self-image.
Yes.
So, who has a lovely, nice kind of writing and would like to help me?
If you're okay with creative spelling,
Absolutely, absolutely. This is the creative space here. It's more about getting the concept rather than the accuracy. Yeah, if you would like to. Okay, I would like you to draw like a bigger circle here. I need some space here, and there's another one. And this is representing business, and this is representing your spirituality. So I would now like to hear from you, and when we say business, it can also be work. Not everybody has a business or works as part of a business. It can mean work as well. I would like to have from you now some things that you have to do in business, which you find a bit draining or not so enthusiastic or empowering.
GST.
is that where you wanted to be?
Yes, yeah.
Report writing. Strategic planning.
Yep.
Database input.
Sounds all very exciting.
Nice handwriting.
Yes.
Colleagues you don't resonate with.
Could you spell colleagues, please?
COLLEAGUES.
Who don't resonate with?
Yes, you don't
Don't
resonate.
You don't resonate with. Cleaning.
Same minute.
Taking minutes. Meditating.
Routine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Routine.
Politics.
Politics. That's a good one.
Mundane repetition.
Liaising with government agencies. Liaising with government agencies.
Unreasonable deadlines.
Unreasonable.
And when you write deadlines, underline the word please.
Yes.
Pricing.
Motivating staff.
Senseless taxes. Senseless taxes.
Yeah. Getting up in the morning.
Every day.
Better things first.
Okay. One more and then I think we filled this heavy
Heavy to
task.
Reaching the goal,
Reaching the
or
goal.
reaching the set goal, maybe. Something like that.
Reaching the goal.
Or reaching the goal,
Do you mean reaching the goal?
also das Ziel erreichen.
Yeah, reaching the goal. Thank you very much. Okay, thanks for that. Very good writing. would somebody else like to have a go now at writing? So now we are looking at all the things that we consider as either our spirituality or feeding our spirituality. What are the things you are doing in your free time or in your separate time to really enjoy?
Yoga.
Yoga?
Meditation.
Outside of the work environment, you mean?
Yes, for now.
Walking.
Walking.
Swimming.
Laughing.
Music.
Dancing?
Love.
Reading inspirational
Things
things.
like this beautiful magazine.
Cooking.
Cooking.
Sharing with like-minded souls. Fellowship.
Like what makes your heart sing? You two gentlemen, what makes your heart sing? What you could do all day round if you wouldn't have all yeah, well, that part aside. You.
Fishing.
Fishing. And you?
Me? Oh. Yeah.
Something to think about. Fishing.
Takes you time to think. Time to think.
Time to think.
Getting out of a logical domain thinking.
Yep, that's
Being
a lot.
creative.
Yeah,
Be
a long
creative.
sentence.
I think it's easier.
Being creative.
What about family?
Family
Spending
time.
time with family. And family, for me, is in a bigger sense. Family is.
Maybe friends
Yep.
too.
Festivals.
Festivals.
Workshops.
Just being.
Just being.
Being. What about nature for me? Nature's a big one.
What is it?
At the odd wine.
Party. Party.
And for me, it's giving people more energy.
Thinking about money.
Not thinking about money.
Not thinking about
Thinking about money in a different way, maybe.
Not thinking about money in the room.
We're not thinking about money at the moment.
Being of service.
Right. One more and then that's it.
Listening to and following your heart.
Yes. Thank you so much for that.
Very nice.
Very good. Both very good handwriting. I can read all this and you wouldn't have been able to read mine. So now we have on the one hand side, which represents the blue color, a lot of that logic, left brain thinking. Even when we think about those tasks, for a lot of us immediately there is this block in the body or this feeling of, oh, I don't want to do this. While when we think about these other things, we immediately think, I could do this all day. I want to do another workshop. I want to do more dancing. I want to feel better. And I then ask myself, how can I now combine the two so that this part has a lot more feeling of this? And that requires reframing. And it requires somehow finding the essence of what makes me feel really good about these things, and then finding and applying that in those tasks I have to do. And I give you one example. As some of you know, I'm publishing a magazine. And I love the whole process of creating the content, putting it together, finding nice images and photos. The one thing that is dreadful to me, or used to be dreadful, is going out and finding advertisers. Sales and advertising is something I really wouldn't call my joy. However, I reached a point a while ago where I realized if I'm not doing this, I won't be able to continue publishing this magazine. And I really, really like it. So what I did, and it was actually with the help of, which brought it up to my consciousness, was Patricia 2 weeks ago, who put it into nice words. I did it automatically, but she put it in a beautiful map. Is I found the real meaning of me in here, because what makes you feel really good and alive is who you truly really are. And we can call this your soul, or we can call this your joy. Names don't really matter, whatever flows with you. But this is the true essence of who you are. And when you live this, and when you do this, things fall into place. They feel good. If you are out of alignment with who you are, then things become sometimes heavy or difficult. And we are, or this is my premises, we all are spiritual beings. And with that I mean we are just living in this physical body for now, but we are much more than this, what we have here. So now I looked at this and thought, what is it here that makes me feel so good, and which stops me from going out and doing the sales talks? Well, the reason why I didn't enjoy this, if you just in your head imagine this picture again of the conscious and subconscious mind, I had some really heavy preconceived ideas of what I considered a salesperson to be. For a start with, I don't like it when I get phone calls in the evening at 5 o'clock when you cook dinner, people trying to sell you something. Do you? My immediate reaction is, ugh, and I want to put the phone down, or some anger comes up, or I feel put in the corner. I really don't like it. So this is an idea I have about salespeople, and I don't like it whatsoever, and I don't want to be that person. So that was one of the reasons that stopped me from actually doing it. Now I had to find a way how I can feel better about myself going out there, because I realized it's necessary and in order to grow and move forward with my magazine. And I came up with, okay, I don't like the sales, I don't really like what some salespeople do, but I don't have to do the same. How do I feel comfortable? I like it when I need to process things. I like it when people send me an email and approach me and say, look, I have a proposition for you, would you have a look at it? If you like me, I can call you, I can follow up. That's the first thing. The second thing, which was then more important to me, because emails these days, it's a nice way, but lots of people get lots of emails, and at some point they forget to answer these emails, and if I don't follow up, that means they didn't call me because they didn't like my proposal, but they forgot that I actually sent the email, and they need a little reminder. So a follow-up was important. And then I found something that connected me with me, and this is, I like to leave people, anybody, in this part, on this part, after I finish talking to them, with more energy than they had before. This is what I love doing. This makes me feel really good about myself and about the conversation I have with others. When I meet with friends, I can talk for ages, and afterwards I feel really good, because that person very often feels better. This is who I am. This is me. And then I thought, okay, I don't have to think straight away about making that sale. I now think, when I go out, my main purpose is to give that person who I talk to and communicate with about my business, as it happens to be, more energy than they had before they talked to me. Immediately I'm connected with me, with my joy, with my heart, with what I love doing. And all of a sudden, the task becomes a lot less dreadful and has a different aspect to it. It doesn't mean I'm running out with joy now to do my sales. However, I'm doing them now, which is a big step forward for me because I found all sorts of excuses why I wouldn't want to do them. So can you find right now in what you have said here before, can you find something that you could connect? That you say, okay, I really don't like, for example, doing GST. Who did that? You did that. And what was your joy?
What's my joy?
Yeah.
Oh, lots of those things. I love walking, I love yoga, I love laughing, I love loving, I love...
When I hear you do yoga and laughing, you do it with other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is it that you enjoy being together with those people out of that experience?
Sharing, connecting, learning.
Okay. And how could you then bring this into doing a task like doing the GST? It's actually not such a bad idea because the suggestion would be you enjoy obviously doing things with other people together. We always think we have to do this all on our own. I meet now with a friend of mine who also has a small business and we do our GST together. She does hers, I do mine, but we are together and we have breaks in between where we share, a cup of tea and all the other things we are doing, two-pointing or meditating or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Immediately it becomes less of a task but more like I'm looking forward to doing this with my friend because the main emphasis is on sharing the time with your friends for you, but you still get the task done, both of you, without, having to sit there on your own where you probably find excuses because the washing needs to be done or the kids have to be picked up or I just still have to do the vacuuming here. If you are doing it together, you won't. Can you see?
Yeah.
Can we try to find a few more? Can anybody else, with fishing, it's a bit tricky to find fishing and combining it with this, but I'm pretty sure we could come up with something there too. But can you come up from you now with some things that are from here, which really make you feel really good, how you could put this into tasks that you don't like doing, or how you can incorporate it in your work and your business. I give you one more example. For example, colleagues you don't resonate with is probably quite a big one too. What I do now is I believe that everything that happens around me or outside, so perceived outside, is a reflection of what I perceive to be the truth. So if I meet somebody who does not resonate with me or who makes me feel a bit agitated, I look at me now and think, what is it, because it's not that person. It is something I picked up when I was little that created that memory, and it's in my subconscious mind about this, what happened, and I try to find what is it about this person that really annoys me. It's not the person, it's never the outside, it's always something within you. And then I try to transform this. And the other thing that helps me with people I don't quite relate to, we all are, as I said before, we all are spiritual beings. And if I focus on always seeing that in a person rather than the body who sits in front of me, or the person I argue with, or my dad who I couldn't really stand at all my whole life, if I see that behind this, or above this, whatever you want to say, is the spiritual being on a journey like I am here, immediately the story, dissipates. Because it's only a story. Do you know what I mean? Can you relate to this? Does it help?
Yeah.
I really would like us to find a couple of more things.
Unreasonable deadlines. You
Oh, deadlines, yes. Language is another really, really good one. To pick up on yourself, where you are. Deadline for me, I changed that word because it has immediately a negative connotation to me. It's pressure, deadline is finished anyway. I changed it for my contributors for the magazine to due date. You give birth to something. It's not dying, you're giving birth to something. So the due date, to me, feels far more empowering and lighter than deadline.
It's much nicer. You don't say to a pregnant woman, when's your deadline?
Yes. That's a good one. Yeah, it's giving birth to something. And only the change of the word immediately it has a different vibration and a different resonance. And you see then obviously more of beautiful things. Language is a really good one, and Patricia is an expert in this. Language is a very good indication for any of us to realize where we are and how we relate to others. My children are very helpful in this. I have 3 now teenage children, and our kids are the most honest people to us than anybody else. Your spouse is never as honest with you, I'm pretty sure, than your children are, because they just say what they think. And when they say something, you better listen, because there's always a lot of truth in what they resonate with. I see my children as a mirror of where I am in my journey. And if we have a fight, I'm not looking to blame them, I'm just saying, okay, what is it here again within me that I don't like or don't resonate with? What do I need to transform within me to make this a more pleasurable and peaceful experience? And then I work on me, not on them. And funnily enough, they change, but it's me who changed, not them. Again, it's just the philosophy of for me, it's out there is not out there. Out there is what I put out there in my subconscious mind, with my perceptions and my belief systems and my assumptions. Is that clear explained? I discovered one really good one with the help of Emma and our work together. My father used to smoke really heavy, Juno I think the cigarettes were called. And I hated coming down in the morning to breakfast because I hated the smell and I hated him. Every single time I met a person, especially men, who smoke, immediately I disliked them. And I didn't consciously do that, but it happened on a subconscious, but I straight away disliked them. And my assumptions were, this person is dominant, this person is violent, this person is all the traits I learned from my father. This stopped me from making connections with possibly some really lovely men, only because I didn't understand that it had nothing to do with him smoking. It was just or with the person, it just had something to do with triggered my memory and what I believe to be the truth. So the more you are able to transform your old beliefs, and always a good one is by asking questions. Is this really true? Is one of my favorite questions. When I come in contact with something which triggers a belief or an emotion, emotions are a really good one for that too, I always ask now, is this really true? Because 95% at least, it's something I picked up when I was young, not on a conscious level, and it has nothing to do with my reality today, right now.
So can I ask a question?
Sure.
This is great, and I'm just wondering what other techniques you use to integrate your spiritual world into your business world? How do you make them cross over more?
I consider now this as part of my work. I used to feel really guilty reading books, but I love reading personal development books or spiritual books. And I always thought I had to take the time out in the evening or whenever. Now I consider this my work because I know now my business can only grow to the extent I am growing. And so I consider going for a walk as part of my work. If I feel extremely tired, I know my body needs rest and I lie down. Even if I have a due date I really need to follow, I'm not putting myself under pressure then. I understand, okay, I receive a download or I really need this break now. And funnily enough, afterwards I have 10 times more energy and get 10 times more things done. So this is what I do. And every time I encounter a left brain thinking, I need to do this and I should be doing this, I immediately stop and think, no, I don't. What is it that I really need? And then I go into my heart again. A little practical one is, I love dolphins so much. When I see dolphins, I just turn into this completely different person, like a child. And I'm open, and I'm excited, and I love them. So I have pictures of dolphins beside my computer, at the fridge, in my bedroom. And every time I look at them, immediately, again, my brain connects with that feeling. I go in my heart, feel excited, straight away I have more energy. That's another really simple thing to do. For others, it's smell. You know, if you have a certain perfume, or music. Music does it for me too. Playing the music that brings me into that vibration where I feel, yes, I can do everything. That's what I'm doing. So this is another few examples, but I always consider this my work now and incorporate it in here. And when I come across things I don't like, I think, what out of this, who I really am, can I put into this to make it more like I feel this is me doing this, rather than I have to do this, or my father told me to do this, or the GST office wants me to do this. Yes.
But when you are in a usual job,
Yes.
where you've got a boss over you and you have to work from 9 to 5, it's
Yes.
called here, and you are in a very strong structure over the day. So don't you think that it's a little bit more difficult to get your personal feel space in that? Because I realized that when I was working as a mechanic all day, and so I felt like I can't really find my personal space in there that I need.
Yes.
You know, not only half an hour break, I need an hour break in the over noon or something like that.
Yeah.
And but I couldn't, and so it was very difficult.
The time, I agree with you, the time constraints are far more difficult in a job than they are when you're self-employed. However, the space you go into, there are so many tools and techniques how you can be present when you do your job in a way that you are within your energy, without thinking you are doing a job for somebody else. So I would see my boss straight away as this spiritual being who does at the moment the best he can, and I see him in his highest light, in his best energy, and then that will reflect back to you. And there's always the possibility of asking him, saying, you know what, this 9 to 5, the half an hour really doesn't work for me, I need an hour. But I tell you, I will have so much more energy afterwards. Can we trial that? You can always ask. He can say no, but you can always ask.
Okay.
But I definitely think time-wise it's more challenging in a job where you work for somebody else.
Yeah.
Yes.
I used to hate doing to-do lists because I just feel weighed down and couldn't move. So when I do them now, I put in a couple of tasks and then I put laugh and then, or something that's important. A couple more love and joy life. So I have, on my to-do list, I have all the other things. And so then if I fill it up in my head,
Yes.
I can't not see all of it,
Yes.
or I can look at it on the list, but the act of writing it does that reframing for me.
Beautiful. Yep. A visual reminder immediately connects your brain with that heart space and feeling.
So what about the ones that are about, well, you've got not thinking about money over here, but the opposite of that is worrying about money, or worrying about making money, or something like that.
Yes.
So what?
I used to be just in that space for a long time. I bring my kids up on my own. I am in a different country. I had no finances. I don't, have rich family or something. I used to be in that space all the time. This is something you have to internally work on to get rid of the fear and understanding that it's again only a memory of something. It's fear is holding all of us back of becoming who we really are. And it's a man-made thing. Again, it's not, there's no reason why you have to have it. The only reason why you should have fear is if there is a lion in front of you and you have the choice of going through this door into safety and through this door being eaten by him. Like this instinct, this what is it called? The fight or flight. But that's not even thinking, or that's not allowing fear in. This is the body straight away getting into running away or fighting this thing. Fear is a man-made thing, and fear is something we all can, with different tools, overcome. And get away from the story that's behind the fear. So I know we are running out of time. I want to come in here, but I'm very happy to talk to you more about this because that's my journey from fear to freedom. I don't have that fear anymore, and it's a completely different way to live than being in fear.
And do you find now that you attract more abundance in your life because you're not focusing on the fear, you're focusing on your freedom?
I had abundance all the time, but I didn't see it. What you focus on expands. All of you have abundance, but you are not focusing on it. And yes, I definitely have a lot more. I am more aware of abundance now. I always had it, but I wasn't aware of it.
Is it possible that some of those subconscious messages that we have might? Well, it sounds as though we could have lots and lots.
Yes.
One layer. If some of those really deep down are keeping us in a situation which is unhealthy, and we're just working on the ones above to try and make that situation more tolerable, how would we recognise that situation?
If you, last example, I know we need to finish. If you believe here, you, for example, are not worthy enough. You can stand in front of the mirror, what some people tell you to do, and have this affirmation, I'm abundant, I'm awesome, I earn a lot of money, I'm worthy of it. This will not change that belief down there. You need to go a lot deeper with other tools to change it. What my two-pointing does, it will bring those beliefs up right in front of your face. And then you know, that's what it is. And then you can transform them. I just want to acknowledge that there's somebody else coming in here. Thank you so much for coming and joining me. And for your participation.